bring him down a little bit more. Bring him down specifically. What's your last name, Garrett?
Wild Wiley.
But what's your first name?
But that's Wild.
Oh, your first name
My
is?
first name's also my first name and my last name.
A notch maybe up on him just a little bit.
So
Where were you born?
I don't know. I don't know where I was born.
Is that a real statement?
That's a factual statement.
Are we
I couldn't tell
recording?
you.
Are we recording?
I mean, somewhere in this area.
Let's clap.
We clapping? Like the good old days?
The good old day clap.
I don't like that.
Well, wait. We're not moving forward to
We're not
this.
moving forward.
No, we need to know where Gary was born. You don't know where you were born?
I don't know where I was born. Like, is that a common knowledge to everybody? Like, you guys know where you were born?
Haley?
I mean, I know I was born, like, somewhere around here.
No, but like hospital.
Should I know the hospital?
Yeah.
Specifically?
Yeah.
Why?
Where were you born, Haley?
Conroe.
Do you know, like, was it Conroe Regional?
Yep, Conroe Regional.
I don't know, dude.
It's pretty normal.
That's not... it's useless information.
Technically, no, because think about this, like, you need some records maybe for a passport or something like that. A lot of times you can go to the hospital that you were born to get birth certificates or something like that.
Okay. My mom knows, so...
You might want to learn one day. I mean, maybe you weren't even born in Texas, bro.
No, I was definitely born somewhere around here.
Oh,
Somewhere around here.
Were you a house? Maybe you were born at home.
I was not a house baby.
A tub birthing.
That's disgusting.
You know, have you ever heard of that?
I mean, I know, yeah.
Like, people have
In
their babies in a bathtub. Yeah, they set it all up. They have somebody come out. I forget what they're called.
Yeah.
A midwife?
A midwife, yeah.
What does that mean? Midwife?
It's somebody that helps the woman through the birthing process. They're I think they go through school for that. That's like that's a profession that's is educated.
Cool.
And they help you have your baby. And they start in the very beginning process, and then they are there to do the slip and slide.
That's gotta be the worst job ever.
No, I mean, some people enjoy bringing a new life into the world,
Yeah.
and then some people like to take them out of this world.
Dude, are you calling me a murderer?
No, I don't.
I'd have never taken someone's life from this world.
Okay,
Just for the record.
that's good.
I think
So,
so. I don't like, back to what I was going to say before you cut me off.
well, you
that
kind of cut me off first.
we cut each other off.
Let's quit cutting each other.
I don't like
What do
that
you
you look more official and look like you're a bigger part of this podcast with the headphones.
Here.
Because I'm just as much of...
Here, you can have the computer.
That's not...
You can have the computer.
What
in
am I
front
going
of
to do
you.
with this, dude?
It looks official.
Does it?
Well,
The
we
headphones.
need to work on that. I think the headphones are a key place, but you said you don't even like wearing headphones.
No, I like hearing
Do you want
my-
to trade off
I like
halfway?
hearing my silky smooth voice.
Do you want to trade off halfway? I'll clean them off, and then you can put them on your head.
I'm good. I don't want your Corona ear sweat.
Good. All right. That's actually, yeah, you can get Corona through earwax. It's a new thing. Okay, disclaimer, that's not true. What are we doing today?
What are we doing today? I think you have the agenda in your head.
In my head.
Well, you have some things you want to talk about. Well, let's start with the fact that a rival podcast of ours, you know, we're very close in numbers to them. They like to steal a lot of clout from us, but it's no biggie.
I'm sure we have lots of rivals.
They had
Which one?
They had what?
Which rival? We have lots of rivals.
Not Joe Rogan. You know, we're slowly but surely passing him up. No, we're talking about talking Elite Fitness. They had Dave Castro on.
Oh yeah.
I listened to about the first 20 minutes of this morning. I was like, it took me back to high school, like cramming for a test. Basically.
Did you say cramming?
Creaming for a test?
What is that? Did you meant to say cramming?
I definitely didn't say creaming.
I didn't say creaming either. I said cramming. I thought you said cramming for a test. Okay, anyway, he was cramming
for the test.
The podcast.
Not a real test, but that's what it felt like. Listening to this Dave Castro, and he had some interesting things to say about all the events that have been going on recently. I didn't listen to the whole thing, so you can kind of lead this, and I'll
Oh,
follow
cool. So
your
if
lead.
you had, if this was your analogy and you had a test, you would have failed. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think so. You know what? I never, not once in my life ever, have studied for a test, and I always pass. That's
Yeah.
actually how I made it through school. I never did any work, dude. I just
But you're
passed
talking
the
about
test.
high school, right?
Yeah.
Okay. A little different probably in college.
I'm just too smart for it.
Probably. So Dave Castro sat down with Talking Elite Fitness, and it was a moment for him to not only go over some of the stuff that was happening in the world of CrossFit, but also give his point of view of the Greg Glassman issues, and also him being a CEO as well. There was a lot of interesting perspective, and they also dove into the games, and I think that's where I'm going to kind of.
Yeah, I didn't get to listen to any of that.
You didn't hear any games. That was kind of cool.
That's what I'm interested in. Though.
Yeah, there's definitely. Ben Bergeron's been talking about a lot of this stuff too. He's got a couple athletes that are always contenders.
What is he working with? Castro?
No, but just in his podcast, he's definitely
talked about where he wants it to go.
Well, yeah, and so okay, another thing that came out after this podcast, shortly after, I don't know if you've heard about this, but the main competitors in CrossFit have all come together, basically, and have started a players' union. Have you heard about that?
No. Have I heard of the dumbest thing ever?
Do you think that's dumb?
Okay, what is it?
Okay, so you don't really follow other sports, do you?
A little bit of UFC, but.
I don't know where the UFC would stand on this, but baseball, basketball, football, all prime sports have a players' union. And what that basically entails is like salary caps,
Caps?
Salary caps.
The most they can get paid.
Well, it goes on both sides, right? So the owners and the developers of the sports, they've got to get paid a certain amount. And what happens in this negotiations is like how much can be allotted towards player contracts, what's the most they can get paid. So Ben Bergeron was talking about this as well, but so they all came together. I think everyone that was invited to the games all signed off on this. So it's about 20 on the guys, 20 on the girls. And they may have more. I know there were some masters athletes and some teen athletes that also signed on this as well. And basically they're represented by a lawyer and this association, this union. A lot of times players' unions have like ex-players. So like in this case, I'm saying, for example, like a Rich Froning would come in, or Chris Spieler might be a better example because he's not competing anymore, because he knows what it's like to be a player in the sport. You get a face that's been in the sport, a Khalipa, somebody like that, to come in and represent you as well. And so they go to the table, basically. And so when Dave Castro is setting up all the games and the sanctionals and everything like that, usually what they're doing is fighting for certain stipulations. How often can they compete? And, what's the payment out, of each athlete? If CrossFit gets endorsed by Reebok, now they're going to fight for a certain amount of that to go to the players themselves and stuff like that. So it's great for the athletes, but at the same time, you see where the NFL is going with this, and it's kind of hurt the sport itself as well, because the owners and them can't reach the same agreements, and it can alter the direction of the sport.
I don't understand why. What was the catalyst for them starting the?
Well, and Ben Bergeron said this too, and I always kind of thought sanctionals was the first right direction because it gives more opportunity to make a living. You got to think about this. All things opportunities to make money, because you got to come down to this is a moneymaker, right? Like, I know there's a lot of pride in CrossFit, and actually I think the motto of CrossFit isn't, even for gym owners, we're not like, oh, I'm going to start a business and make tons of money. It's to help people. But am I boring you?
I'm just keep going.
You okay over there?
Yeah.
It's been a long morning already. The thing is, you got to think, these athletes got to continue to train and do these things, and they have to make an income to do so. And so and he made a good point, if you're not a top 10 athlete at the games, you're probably not making a whole lot of money.
I disagree.
You're making some money on, what's a whole lot of money though? You're talking about professional sport. Look at all the other sports. Let me think. The lowest minimum wage for a professional sport, I think, is football at about $450K a year.
Okay, but you're talking about CrossFit Games, which is more it's an open format. Like these athletes don't have contracts. This is completely voluntary. You compete whenever you want to compete. Same with the Olympics, right?
Right.
They're making plenty of money from sponsors.
See, I definitely would disagree. I would like to know a little bit more why you think that because
it's an open sport. Anybody can do it. Anybody can compete.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's people that have that can kick a field goal from 70 yards that are making money on Instagram, but we're not talking about if you need to be able to train and have a family and be a. Think about this: if a sport was created to where you can make some good money, more people would get involved in it, right?
Yeah.
I think that the open source format has definitely been the way CrossFit's always done, and it's allowed us to get to certain points. But in a reality, there's not a whole lot of security for these athletes. I mean, really, the only person making money from CrossFit is really 1, 2, and 3. Like, now, sanctionals has helped because Dubai pays out. Pays out pretty good.
Yeah.
And again, though, you got to be 1, 2, or 3 to make any kind of money. And you know, there's not a whole. I mean, is Granite Games paying out a whole lot of money? I don't think it's a ton. Maybe $10,000-$15,000.
So what's the solution? How do you make sure these athletes?
Well,
are getting paid
now
more?
you have to. Okay, so when a player union
Based
comes
off
in,
performance.
right, it's still based on performance, but they have to allot, you know, some of this contract money coming in, and it comes down to this. They don't have. They always pushed away from this. It comes down to TV deals. When they go ahead and sell the rights to TV deals, that's when they can start doing some sort of they can start paying out more. PGA makes a ton of money and no one cares about it, but they have TV deals. Those guys get paid, gosh, I mean, they only need to win one tournament a year, or one event a year, and they probably made $250,000, $300,000 for one, and they do. That would be like having the games like 12 to 18 times a year.
Because there's that many tournaments.
Yeah, they have full seasons, and that was another thing he talked about too, and I thought was good. And I think you'll agree on this, having a more structured season.
Yeah.
Right. I think we agree on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what I'm getting at is with no TV deal, and see what CrossFit tried to do is they had their own media team. They were trying to do it on their own platform. It held them back. They did get the Reebok deal, and they've got some other sponsors like small, like Romwad and Fit Aid, and I'm sure there's some I'm missing. But the point is,
they have a ton of sponsors.
They have a ton of sponsors. They had a ton of sponsors. I think they'll come back. I mean, why would Reebok not come back if all the athletes are coming back?
Yeah.
So why wouldn't Reebok?
Yeah.
But my point is, you start getting a TV deal with ABC or TNT or somebody like that. The money revenue there all of a sudden turns into, like, the last place athlete in the games is still getting paid $10,000 because you got so much more money coming in from a TV deal.
Even nowadays, where TV is kind of like a dead medium, like who watches TV? Who pays for TV anymore?
But it's still number one, man. It's still number one. Like NFL, these teams have baseball. Baseball's a 162 game season. They make most of their money. I know they get some money off the field and selling hot dogs, but that still isn't their main source of revenue. It is TV deals.
Well, here's the problem with that. That's because baseball, football, these are much bigger sports.
Right.
So obviously they're going to get the viewership no matter what. You're talking about CrossFit. It's been a sport that's been open and available to anyone who wants to watch it at any point, and they're still not getting nearly the amount of numbers of people that are paying to watch it, right?
Right.
So you think that going over to TV, there's going to get more viewers? Absolutely not.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's going to get at least 50% less viewers. At least.
If they open to a new platform, they're going to get less
to television.
They're going to get less viewers?
100%.
How do you get less if you go into a new platform?
Because people now have to pay to watch it.
No. I mean, you'd be ABC or ESPN or so. They'd had ESPN, right? I mean, that helped, but they did a delay. I'm not talking about pay-per-view.
I know, yeah. But TV as a medium is dying.
It'd be definitely
Everything's
something
moving
to research
online.
some more homework because that's where these sports are so big. And so it goes back to the players' union. What I'm saying is they start to create some sort of contract. It's percentage-based. So let's say TV isn't the way to go, but if it was, you're going to get more athletes, ex-pro sports athletes to get into CrossFit. You're going to get more people coming out of college going, man, this is a way to go because all of these, like Granite Games is now going to be televised. You're talking about Wadapalooza now is going to be televised. Anything to do with CrossFit, it starts to get televised. You start to get more people watching it. It could be somebody that just left their TV station on ESPN as a viewer, and they start to watch it. It's good for the sport. I think it's good for affiliates. But you have to have some sort of contract in place for these players. And I'm not saying I'm 100% sold on a players union yet, because I do kind of like the open market. But at the same time, I think it's going to start. It may take 10 years to draw more names, more younger athletes. As you know, who chases CrossFit right now? Nobody. CrossFit's like a secondary option for a very small percentage. Most people are going to play baseball. Most are trying to play football. Most are trying to play basketball. The athletes of the United States are going to those sports. But what if we started saying, hey, you know, the top 10 athletes in CrossFit in the world now are sustaining somewhere around $1 million a year. Okay, that starts to sound better. I mean, how much is Matt Frazier? He's making $250 on winning the whole championship. It's like $250,000.
If we're not, yeah, but we're also talking. The dude has a Nike sponsorship.
Right, 100%.
He's making way more money from Nike than he is winning the games.
Okay, LeBron James is getting $45 million a year from his sport, and not including the sponsorships. But I'm telling you, those sponsors will get more money involved too if they're on national television. I think you're putting aside what TV still does for sports, live sports.
Yeah.
I think that's a little different.
But again, like,
where do you catch live sports?
Where do you catch? On
you
the
have
TV.
to do it on TV.
But
you know, they're getting into YouTube, but there's a contract there.
Do you think the CrossFit audience I mean, people just don't pay for TV anymore? Everything is online. Everything is streaming service.
There's still a contract there, though. So what I'm talking about is still YouTube is involved in other streaming services, but it's still owned by, say, ABC or TNT or ESPN.
So they can still stream it online.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're getting certain events online. You got to get, but if you can get onto live TV for sports, I'm not talking about movies and daytime and all that stuff. I don't know where that stuff lies. But for sports, man, right now, too, if anybody could go live with a sport, it would have the biggest ratings ever. So I'm not saying it's like, I think the concept in your head is like you got to sit down in your living room and there's your TV with a box. Of course, there's other ways to get to live TV and live sports now.
Yeah.
And look, you got a sporting event, Reebok, everybody's going to be, the sponsors of this sport will be on national television. I think it's the way to go to make a more sustained a sport. I mean, Brent Fikowski could have maybe won the games, could have maybe even beat Matt Frazier if he could train full time. But he had to have a job, because even with sponsorships, let's say you make $50K a year on a sponsorship with a certain product, and you go and make $20,000 going through sanctionals and getting a certain place at the games. Like, that's cool. That's okay. I mean, you're making a decent income. You're making $70,000 a year. But other professional sports, the minimum for baseball is like $500,000. The minimum for football is $450,000. The minimum for basketball is like $2 million. I mean, that's like $980,000. That just gives people like, you know what? All I got to do is make it. All I got to do is get drafted. So for somebody that's like, all I got to do is place in sanctionals and I'm in the pro union, I'm going to make a minimum amount of money.
But then do they have to be entered into contract or anything like that?
Yeah, you would definitely. That's what I'm saying. It's tricky, and I'm not 100% sold.
Don't like that.
But from year to year, PGA is, I think, the greatest example to use here, and I would have to do some more homework, but I know you have to, like, earn your PGA Tour card. And once you have your tour card, now you can hit the major events. And, look, you still got to perform to get paid. Don't get me wrong. But you got to earn to have that PGA card, and now you're in the group. Now you're in the union. If CrossFit took some sort of model like that, because we're more like tournament-based than we are team-based and, like, seasonal. So golf goes pretty much, I would say, almost year-round. And so if you have your PGA card or tour card, you can register for that tournament. But there's other tournaments like Augusta that are invitational-based, or you have to perform a certain way. So just because you're in the union doesn't mean you're going to perform at the games. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So don't get that. It's still a performance-based sport, but it gives you some protective rights. And also, if you have that pro card, you will help get sponsorships because you earned it for that year. For that year, you have a pro card, and all of a sudden, you can flash that. And again, it makes more income for these athletes, and it protects them, and it keeps them in the sport longer. It draws more attention to the youth, and I think it draws people in to stay longer. Even if they're not the top tier, you can't make a living being number 20th in the world, which is great, but you really can't make that living for that long. I mean, there's so many people that struggle staying in CrossFit, and they're still really good, and they're not getting. I mean, they're getting a couple sponsorships, a couple affiliate codes. They make 15% off of this and that. Even if they get a $10,000 check, no one's living off of $10,000 a year. To have a family and to be an adult, nowadays you need to be punching around $70,000 to $100,000 a year. Okay, if you're $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, you're considered almost poverty if you have a family. Right, so that's something to consider too. As a young adult that lives on his own, like you can make $25,000 a year and be living great. But if you were talking about trying to, progress your future, I mean, almost $100,000 a year, one person is required. So to be a pro athlete and dedicate your life 6 to 8 hours a day to that craft, having a couple of sponsorships through X&D or something like that where you get paid $500 here, $500 there, there's not enough security, and I think it lacks. It could grow the sport if there was some sort of players union. And again, I'm not even 100% sold on it, but this is what I know from other sports, and it really comes down to potentially getting that TV deal to really expand on the payouts for these athletes, potentially.
Okay. I'm learning right now. I know nothing about workers unions or anything, not workers unions.
Yeah, right.
Player unions.
Player union, it's a little different than that, but at the same time, it's just saying that you have and Ben Bergeron said this the best. It was like you have a seat at the table when they start negotiating with Reebok, when they start negotiating with ESPN. All Dave Castro's got to think about is CrossFit HQ, and he says, you know what, we'll take $5 million for that, and then. If you're an athlete and you don't make it that year because of a penalty or something like that, what do? You say nothing. And I hate to take away from Dave Castro and, I don't want it to bleed over into him having to tell them what the workouts are, because another part of the union is to keep the safety of the athletes. If he was to say, all right, we're going to do Wadapalooza this weekend and the games the next weekend, that's dumb. Nobody would probably do that. But in a union, you would have a seat at the table to say the athletes aren't going to be able to do this. And it is a physically demanding sport where golf isn't the same physically demanding. Haley, what's your thoughts on what you heard and considered?
I mean, I think it would be really cool if we had the CrossFit Games on TV. A lot of people aren't really internet. They don't watch a lot of live stuff on the internet. They don't think to, but they have their TVs on all the time, so that'd be really cool to.
And I think there are more
people.
That
idea.
Yeah, I think there are more people that are just the tube's on, the TV's on, and they pay $49 for local stations. And again, that's the national TV that I'm talking about. And those pay. I mean, the New York Yankees have a $300 million a year payroll for their team. I mean, and a lot of that has to do with TV deals. Every team gets a certain percentage of that because they're the product. Nobody's going to come watch CrossFit. If all those athletes left, I know it's the next man up, but CrossFit would have taken a pretty big hit. Would it not?
I'd still watch it.
Oh,
I don't know.
I'd still watch
it. Some people may be huge Matt Frater fans and be like, if he's not competing, I'm not watching. But I don't care. I'll watch whoever's.
Sure. And I would have probably watched it. I'm a CrossFit affiliate owner. I would have watched it, but at the same time, would you not in the backside of your head, these aren't the best?
Yeah,
and we're going to take time.
No, for sure.
We would have had to
I'd
take
still
time.
Watch it.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting take on it, and I don't know. There's a lot of things that would be thought through. And at first, when I first heard it, I was like, "This sucks." I think it's going to devour the sport. But why not? Why aren't we trying to make it a real sport? Why are we not trying to have it on national television? I mean, have you watched the Titan games?
No.
Yeah, you need to watch it. I mean, it's like
it's on TV.
It's like it's all on the internet. I've only watched it on the internet. So it's all on WW. It looks like a WWE performance. It's all the crazy lights and the fake setup, right? So they're climbing the Olympias, but it's padded this and that. It looks like if you were to go to a jumpy house thingy. What's that place? I think you went, or maybe it was your brother or something, where you can jump on all the trampolines.
I didn't go to that.
Oh, it was Nick and Andrea for Caleb. You didn't go to that?
No.
It just looks it's very commercialized. It's very sold to be a product, and so, but it was actually interesting to watch a little bit. And there's a lot of CrossFitters in it right now.
You know what the real money move would be?
What's that?
Like for real, is getting into and Netflix doesn't do this. Like these streaming platforms, they don't do this, but doing basically almost like live TV, live sports on Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be a game changer.
I think
Netflix should get into something like that where they do live broadcast of sports and stuff like that.
I feel like I heard something like that. Well, of course, YouTube Live, right? I mean, kind of YouTube though is people's videos, so anyone can go live there.
Yeah.
But to have it more, that would be more like a TV station going live, you know. And no,
and everybody has a Netflix
and
nowadays.
I could see it.
More people have Netflix than they do pay for a TV subscription.
Right. But think about how much did they pay for The Office? I think it was like $100 million for 7 years. Like, I don't even know how they make money off of that, but it was a crazy number, and that contract finally ended. And so, like I don't know how they make money on that when they're paying, people are paying $14 a month, but
because everybody has Netflix.
Everybody has Netflix.
Everybody has
But that's
Netflix.
my point. And now granted, the CrossFit Games or the CrossFit season or whatever isn't going to demand that kind of money yet, but in all reality, it could. And if it was put out in front of people that much, but that's the TV money that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It may not be ESPN or ABC, in the future. But some network is going to want to put up live stuff. And it can't be – the games tried to do it, right? Like, they tried to do their own thing, and it was okay.
Well, I thought there was one TV station who did put the games on a few years ago.
Yeah, but it was okay, so what they did was a post-production.
Oh, okay.
So they do this a lot with actually the fishing – Bass Pro, bass tournaments. So, like, the big – what is it? Does anybody know what that's called?
Fishing is the most boring thing.
Oh, I love fishing. Used to watch the tournaments there. So it's another tournament base, but they did the same thing. So the CrossFit Games happened, and like 2 weeks later, they put it on ESPN. And what they did was chop out a lot of the middle pieces, So
which makes it more watchable.
Yeah, well, they have to and they have to bring it down to fit the schedule.
Gotcha.
And so that is interesting too with the CrossFit Games. You would have to. Probably still have a side production of all of it going on at the same time, right? Like, I like watching those feeds, watching every heat. But for an actual national television like production, you'd have to, I don't know, because this would be very coordinated, and I'm sure they could figure it out. But you'd only really want to watch heat number 1 and 2 or something like that of certain workouts. So you couldn't go live for everything, I guess, not with the games.
There are going to be people who do want to watch all that, but the problem is you have events that are taking place all throughout the day at different times. So you have 2 to 3 hours of basically dead air where nothing's happening.
Or you have to coordinate it differently to where your teens and your athletes. Let's think about it differently. If it was like national television, ABC, you have programming. But if it was Netflix, you could just run it.
Yeah. That's why doing something like that, like Netflix needs to get on that.
But see, that's why I don't know enough about Netflix, because they don't do commercials, and that's where the money is made.
Well, subscriptions pay more than commercials do.
Yeah,
100%.
That's what I don't know about, because $14.95.
That's why YouTube has a subscription service where you can get rid of ads.
Oh, I have that.
Yeah.
No,
YouTube has
I
that
know
because
how
it pays
it works.
more.
I just don't know how it does. Does that $14 a month pay more than a company throwing thousands of dollars a month?
When
I know
everyone
it's one
is paying,
right.
When everyone is paying $14,000, like literally everyone.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what the math is on that, and it must be the case, because how could Netflix throw millions and millions of dollars at certain things like The Office when there's no commercial ads to be paying the bills?
We just think like your view of an ad is like 0.01 cent.
Yeah,
that's how little it is. But if you pay, so to make $14 to make a TV station $14 of ads, you'd have to watch however many ads that is. I can't do the math right now.
Well, think about it though. You get national television, and you have easily 1 million people watching at once. That's going to be 1 million times what you just said. That was my watch.
Oh.
Yeah. But you'd have 1 million times that, right? All at once. So like every TV at home would pay that penny or whatever for that one ad.
Yeah.
So
no, ads pay obviously,
right,
but
right.
I'm saying like a subscription-based model pays more. That's why Netflix doesn't do ads, and that's why Netflix doesn't give free subscriptions and just do ads, because they get more from subscriptions.
Yeah, and I think it must be carrying that kind of weight for them to get I mean, think about all these movies that are Netflix only. Like literally, these movies must be getting paid millions and millions of dollars. Like that's how much they plan to make on these things. 10 million, 6 million, whatever. And then I also look at the Super Bowl numbers. Like for a 30-second ad, I think the numbers are like somewhere like $6 million for that 30 seconds. They're paying for that.
How many people are watching?
Right. Yeah. So
it's different. Like, of course, people are going to pay a lot of money to be on the Super Bowl because everybody watches the Super Bowl.
Right.
Even people who don't watch football watch the Super Bowl.
But that's what I was saying. You're still getting a lot of viewers on national television, and I think more so on live sporting events than your regular TV shows. Yeah. So, but Netflix, if their model is good, man, to get involved in something like that would be awesome. Huge, yeah.
It'd get so many viewers, 100%.
Yeah. So that was a big discussion. We kind of went on a rant there for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it is funneling.
How long have we been going?
22 minutes.
That's with the pause from earlier, too. So we're probably about 40 minutes already. But that was part of the discussion, actually, after the Dave Castro episode. So he didn't even get to talk about a possible players' union. But, he definitely talked about the games and the direction it was going. And it was the new owner was talking about wanting to highlight the games again. So I think either way, we're going to see a more emphasis, and I've always thought that this was important to get the sport out there. I mean, how do all these kids want to play football? Why do all these kids want to play baseball? Why do all these kids want to play basketball? Because there's a huge sport that's glamorous and, like, you can get to the top and be a warrior, basically. So why not have that with CrossFit games?
Also, just it's a culture thing. I mean, CrossFit isn't in schools. Baseball, football, soccer, these are all sports that are in schools, so they're glorified more.
Absolutely, but I'm sure those sports weren't in the schools until they became more popular, and what I mean by popular, having a better revenue stream, too, for whoever's involved. So, again, money's going to lead everything, I think, and if you got people, you got companies, you got companies that know there's viewers, they're going to put money into it, and that money's going to just spread the wealth for everybody. And what if you did get an athlete that dropped football at 25 years old, a pretty big name, and said, you know what, I'm done with concussions, I'm going to move over to CrossFit. The fighter, there was a fight last Saturday night. I don't know their names. I'm not a huge UFC guy.
I can't. I just remember the girls.
There were some good fights, I'm not going to lie. But the main event, the guy picked up the fight like 6 days before.
Yeah.
Okay. He was interviewed, and he was talking about, he's 30 years old, and he's looking to get out, but the guy, Dana White, was like, what are you going to do afterwards? And he was like, well, I'll probably go do some CrossFit. And he's like, I'll probably go win a couple championships in CrossFit or something like that, which he might have been talking about sanctionals or something like that. But the point is,
still not going to happen.
Probably not. But, I mean, this guy was a pretty good athlete in his sport. I think his record was like 34-12 and had won some big fights. And he is somebody that wants to maybe cross over to CrossFit, but what's giving him the incentive if there's no money to be made? And so if they can shore that up a little bit better and protect them, so if they spend a whole year training.
Was this Masvidal or Usman? That was talking about moving.
Not the younger guy, the older guy.
Masvidal, 35-14.
Yes,
record.
35-14. Yeah. Yeah, he was talking about coming over to CrossFit, but what I'm getting at is some players in these other sports that are having troubles figuring out their contracts or they don't want to get hit anymore, I could easily see them coming to a CrossFit if there was like a living to be made in CrossFit. So I think the players' union could be a positive thing. It just depends on how it's negotiated.
So, what?
I didn't say.
Are we moving on?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think so.
To what what did he talk about in the interview with Talking Elite Fitness about changing the games? And because again, he obviously, him and this new owner want to see a return to form for the games and put more of an emphasis on that rather than where the direction Glassman was taking it, which was on the health side.
Right. I think his biggest emphasis was, it's not the regionals and the games were always changing. So everybody's kind of like, oh, we want regionals back and everything. And he made a good point, like, which style of regionals are you talking about? And so,
I mean, what does that mean?
Well, exactly. Every year was a little different, and I think he was
but
dodging
not
the
really.
question. Well,
right? When people say they want regionals back, they mean they want to go from the Open to regionals to the games.
Right, the format.
Yeah.
Okay. But he was, I guess, diving a little deeper. But I think he's right. I don't think that's the best way to go. And if we're talking about giving more opportunity for people to make a living, it was. I watched the Dubai. Have you watched the Dubai, the Fittest
documentary?
In Dubai?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Laura Horvath, injured herself, really kind of at the top of the leaderboard, and was having a decent run. Well, she has to pull out the last day, and if we're talking about having a regionals format, she's done. There's no other opportunity. With the sanctional opportunity, having a season and having maybe like this PGA style, I've got my pro card because I earned it through the Open or whatever, however they want to earn it, or they can go to these different events, and I think that's advantageous for the sport to continue to grow. And let somebody with some knowledge of like production and turning it into a sport host these things too, not just because these are hosted basically by affiliates. Wadapalooza, Granite Games. Maybe there should be a company come in. They talked about UFC was actually led by a company. So like Dana White owns the rights, but he's on the board. He's not the one running the UFC. Mm-hmm. There's a company that came in. I can't remember. It's like TGI or something like that. That does their promotions. That sets up the fights how they should be done. So they help with actually creating the sport,
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, in order for the sport to grow, regionals had to go. I get that because it doesn't, like you say, it doesn't pay as well having that format.
Oh, they make nothing. Even at regionals.
But at the same time, like Wadapalooza, Granite Games, all these things were still happening. They just weren't part of the CrossFit format. So I'm a little wishy-washy on that. But I personally, I like that format better, where you go from the top or Gen Pop, you have general population compete for a spot, for a higher spot, and then you have that group compete to go to the games. I like that structure, that funnel structure.
No, I see that. And you could still he's bringing it back. So that was one thing he talked about too, was bringing back the Open to the beginning of the year, so into February, beginning of March, and so that funnels into these other sanctional events and everything. And so I get what you were saying too. Let's say you fall short at regionals. Well, now you can go to a sanctional, or you could have went to one of these competitions, but those didn't allow you to get into the games either, though. So at the time, like, and I'm pretty sure their money went up once they were a CrossFit sanctional too. Like they were able to pay out more.
Yeah, CrossFit could bring back regionals, and still have their CrossFit sanctioned events.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see why there has to be.
Well, I think it was like a money thing
other.
For sure, for them to have their own.
Yeah.
The company supporting that whole process, and they were trying to run it. The production and everything was basically like the games, mini games. So having a media team and all that.
14 of them.
It could come back. I think they got to have their own media team. But what it sounded like was Eric Rosa, I believe is his name. He was talking about maybe not having a CrossFit media team, but he's definitely going to open up the doors for somebody to come in and be that team. So an outside source.
Should we apply?
Well, yeah, I've already put the application in. They quickly reviewed it and said maybe next year.
Yeah.
But I like the idea maybe also the Open being that first test and saying like, depending on your rank, 500 or better. Because I think what people want is that regional test. Whether you're making it to regionals or not, like I always thought it was fun because I wanted to know within my region, right? Texas, I think it was for a while, all the way up to Colorado, but it was like Oklahoma and Louisiana through there, New Mexico. But I wanted to know, like I think the best I ever placed was like 400 and something. in my region. And it's like, I was younger. I thought maybe I'll make a push at this. As soon as they said regionals were out, it was like I quit looking at that. And that was like that was what I always looked at as far as my rating, not the worldwide, not even in America, but in my region. And I think we were just so conditioned that was the ranking that you had to know because that's what would take you to the next level. So my thought would be like, take the open and make it like some sort of way to get a card. And this is digitally. I mean, this is metaphorically, but the point is you have a pro status to go into the Granite Games as a pro. That doesn't mean the Granite Games won't have the amateur and the scaled. They should have all that stuff. We should still be very inclusive with all levels and skills and abilities. But what I'm saying is that's how you could get into those things.
Yeah.
Which is basically saying use the open for the qualifier, the online qualifier across the board. Or they still have their online qualifier, but you have to have a certain ranking to be able to apply for the pro. Because there's money involved in it.
I like that. And it's kind of the same kind of funnel idea where you're funneling out Gen Pop from competitive athletes. I like that.
Yeah, if you go on the open and you get 500 in your region, maybe that's the cutoff for certain regions. There's different cutoffs because there's not as many athletes, maybe. But you get to the 500, now you can go on and do Granite Games qualifier as a pro and try to make it. So people will be fighting hard to make that 500 spots in their region to have the opportunity to get a pro spot in other competitions. And that means that could be the difference between making money and not making money. And here's the thing. If you give people more badges, more companies are going to look at them more legit. So somebody in the 400s has a pro card to go to these competitions. A company might look at me like a sponsorship deal because I'm going to go to these competitions now. And they're going to say, you know what, they're not going to pay me what they pay Matt Frazier, but they know I'm going to be wearing their stuff or taking their stuff and putting it on my Instagram. I've got a little more legitimacy if CrossFit is starting to badge people a little bit better, meaning like, there's qualifications to earn and get to a level. And it lasts for 1 year, right? And the next open, clean slate. Who's in the top 500 or top 300 or whatever it is, those people can apply for pro spots in the Granite Games and in Wadapalooza or whatever.
I like it.
Just a thought process. But I think it does funnel a little more like you were talking about.
Yeah, and I like that. Really, in a world where money doesn't exist and obviously these companies and athletes have to make money, I like the coolest thing would just be basically bringing back sectionals and regionals to where the open, you have to qualify for sectionals through the open, then you go to the regionals, and then I think that'd be dope. But obviously, like, there's money there.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is that's one company putting on the whole show for a whole year. You're like having to fund this thing the whole year. Yeah. I just don't think it's doable at the size it is.
It's not for sure. I'm just saying, like, in perfect world, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. No, I get that, but I still think there's a even better perfect world eventually, and we just have to adapt it. And it comes down to making sure these athletes are making money to keep them in it, and even draw other names. I mean, like I said, football is hurting right now because so many reports and studies of concussions and injuries. People are retiring at 25 years old now, and they're tip-top athletes.
Yeah, and then the rest of their life sucks.
Well, potentially, or they're getting out before that. Yeah. But what I'm saying, why aren't we drawing those guys over? Like this is because there's no money to be made, not enough. And Matt Frazier right now at the top, who's going to come and try to? That's the only way to make a semi decent pro salary is to be Matt Frazier. And he might, let's say he makes $5 million. That's still nothing compared to these guys. People in baseball that may never play the professional sport, a number one pick round one or round two, they get bonuses of $6 million just for signing. They haven't even played a down or played a inning or anything. And so I know it sounds great to make $250,000, $300K in the biggest event for our sport, but that is nothing compared to these other professional sports. And rightfully so, because we're not there yet. But I think what I'm getting at, and maybe Castro and them saw with Glassman making changes, is that we were going the wrong direction for that too. And I think they want to head that way.
Glassman wanted to focus more on tackling these Coca-Cola.
And I agree with that.
Biggest enemy.
If CrossFit was on a national platform, those commercials they were doing, were awesome. Like when they were doing the really good releases for the Open, and then they were also on ESPN. I remember all the time they would have these commercials about the actual boxes and what was going on. We didn't even have those the last 2 years because there was no opportunity for it. We weren't on anything. We got dropped as soon as we changed the format.
Yeah. So enough talk about the games. There's one other thing I want to talk about. Haley, can you pull up on the screen? Go to Instagram and go to Morning Chalk Up for me.
Something pop up.
No. This just it's something I wanted to talk about because it's interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or it may actually be on Morning Chalk Up's website.
Do you have the screen pulled up?
Oh yeah. Actually, just go to morningchalkup.com. Sorry. So what this is the guy who I don't know when it was. I gotta start doing more research on this stuff, man.
You put .co. Yeah.
Not
.com.
But he did the thing.
He did the
thing where one day ran a sub 5 minute mile and a 500-pound back
squat.
squat.
You were telling me about something about
scroll down. It's gonna be right here under this. Yeah, right there.
Patrick Clark. Or was that written by Patrick Clark?
That's
Haley. Do you have it
definitely
pulled up
the
to
author of
where
the
they can
article?
See it? Okay.
Just kind of scroll down.
This is back in 2017.
No. This is when Dave Castro had the discussion with Panchik about the possibility of someone being able to do a sub 5 minute mile and then deadlift 500 pounds.
Adam Klink?
That is him, yeah.
Okay, so is this guy a CrossFitter?
I've heard his name. He's 100% competed at the games.
Oh, okay. Something he could work towards as the CrossFit season came to a close. Let's see. Keep scrolling down.
So,
there we go.
The challenge. Castro, the elusive combination of the 500-pound back squat and sub 5 minute mile was perhaps something that he could test athletes on in the near future. He also stated that adding 50 unbroken pull-ups would assure that a CrossFit athlete would be the one that sets the record.
He's the head coach at the CrossFit Krypton, where Ben Smith is the owner. That's what it says there.
6-time regionals. Yep. Maybe he didn't compete at the games. I know his name. I've seen his name before. Maybe.
Well, probably through regionals. It looked like
it must have been through
up
regionals.
to 2017. He's been to regionals. He finished in the Open last year, 149 in the world, which is really, really good. Klink started training for 10 weeks.
Oh, so it is a 500-pound back squat.
500?
I thought it was a 500-pound deadlift. I don't know what made me think that.
Yeah, I was going to say for a pretty good CrossFit athlete.
Dude, it's right there in the title. That 500-pound back squat. That's...
What is that video right here?
I think...
You want to... Let's go ahead and let's run that for a second.
Hey, is Dada going to run fast today? Fast?
Who's this?
That's him. That's Adam Klink.
That is crazy. This baby 500-pound back squat. Are you kidding me?
Skip ahead a little bit. I think must be a Adam Klink.
It's not an
It
ad.
must be a vlog or something.
Yeah.
Go ahead and just
No matter what happens.
see if you can find.
Spoiler alert. We just ran the mile. But I
So
didn't
maybe
want to
this
jinx
is him
myself
leading up
and
to
make a video
the challenge.
before I ran. So I ran. We're done.
Very
And as
coarse
you can
beard.
probably
What's
tell
your
that
beard look
because
like? If
there
we
is
get
a
it up
video
close.
that it went well. So
Very frail.
if you want to watch me run
Anyway,
for 5 minutes,
Keep
watching.
scrolling forward a little bit. Oh, here we go. Wait. This can't be him doing it. 5 minute mile. I'd love to see
No.
what that looks like. No,
500
right.
miles basically a sprint.
500? 5 minute mile.
500 miles.
Haley,
no.
do you think you could run a 5 minute mile?
Heck no.
No, absolutely no.
No.
It's
There's
5 minute
no way.
mile is
I could. That's
im-
sprinting.
basically.
That's. I mean, think
But-
about it. That's just over a minute a lap.
My 8th grade track coach.
Pause the video real quick. A 5 minute mile. I mean, I knew a lot of kids in the cross country team when I went to high school, and a lot of them could do sub 5, but it wasn't by much. I mean,
Sub 5?
yeah,
Sub 5?
yeah. At the high school, yeah.
They were running around the track under or just over a minute a lap.
Yeah, which, I mean, most people can't do a 400 meter in 60 seconds.
No, because like state championships are won like at 51.
Yeah.
So most people, meaning like 98% of people, can't run under a minute.
When I thought it was a deadlift, which it makes a lot more sense now, I was like 500-pound deadlift. That's not a lot.
That's
good.
Not
that impressive.
It's solid, but that's like a good CrossFitter. That's not a good powerlifter.
Yeah. No, 2.5% of your body weight is respectable. You're not strong till you hit 3 times body weight.
Oh,
deadlift.
okay, yeah.
But no. I mean the 500-pound back squat and a 5-minute mile. That's impressive. I mean.
Well, and then he did 50 pull-ups unbroken. Can we keep going forward or scroll through this thing? Let's see if we get some action here, because it's a lot of his baby. What is this here? Okay, go back right there. Play from there. Let's see what that is. And I saw another video that might be. Okay, this is timed out.
Yeah.
There's no way. He looks like he's going way too slow.
Yeah, no.
Although,
maybe.
Let's see what this lap looks like. And this chick is like straight up burning him though. I don't think that's the same girl. So maybe he had like a timer, somebody that's really good at miles, like a rabbit.
A pacer.
Yeah, that's what I meant. A pacer, a rabbit, a carrot. But right now, I mean, he's still got at least this other 200.
If he's pacing off her, that's cheating, dude.
Nah.
No, that's cheating.
How?
That's cheat, dude. A part of the skill of running is being able to pace.
How's that? Well,
I mean, he's still running it.
yeah, no shit. Okay, you go have a pacer and run it. It wouldn't matter. You couldn't do it.
Yeah, but
You couldn't do it.
it's not as impressive.
This is not it
Nope.
anyway. This is training. This must
Is
be a
it not?
vlog of his training. He just hit. I mean, that would be a minute. So I guess I don't know.
I mean,
Does that look like that's an under 5 minute?
You could
mile?
You could stride the last lap, and it's still good under 5 minutes at this time.
I feel
Yeah,
like
but
he's
that's
not
still
running.
under. That still would be 4:40.
I still don't feel like that. Yeah, no doubt. I still don't feel like he's running that fast. But
But
that's like running with a person. I mean,
no, it's fast. You can't tell on the video.
no. I know that, but I'm saying I don't think it's cheating that he's running with
I
somebody.
do.
How?
Because
How does it make you do it? How does it make you?
ability to be able to
How would it make
pacing?
you? You could have a pacer and it still wouldn't
No,
matter. You would
no.
not be able to run 500.
I'd be able to run a faster. If I wanted to run, I think the most I've ever done is like 7:40. But if I wanted to run a 7:30 and I had a pacer, I could do it because I know my exact
A
pace.
7:30 is so much different than 5 minutes. Under.
I know that. Obviously, he's very fit to be able to run a mile in 5 minutes. I'm saying it's not as impressive as if he did it without a pacer, because that's skill. That's a skill that you have to learn and practice. Have you ever?
First of all, his pacer's whooping his ass.
Yeah.
Starting to
Exactly.
separate.
Yeah. If he didn't
But-
have that pacer, he would have fell off the pace. 100%.
But that's just like working out with somebody in your class. Do you think if you did Fran next to Kevin and you got that good time that you had, you would say, well, I pretty much cheated because I worked out with somebody else?
No, but I'm not.
That's a
I wasn't
pacer.
pacing off Kevin.
Your time, what's your Fran time?
Okay.
What's your Fran time? 4:30?
Something like that, in the fours. Okay. So if Kevin was going a 4:30 Fran pace, and I knew that was the exact pace, it would probably be easier.
Well,
for
no
me
one
to-
knows what exact pace is going. This girl doesn't have a
yes,
pacer.
she does. She knows what pace she's going. She knows she's running a 5-minute pace.
Well,
It's
they
a skill,
both
dude.
know. They both
It's
know.
a skill.
They both know.
Yeah, because he's following her. That's how he knows.
But
he's
let's
on 5
say
minutes.
they're both trying to do this. They practice this.
She's not pulling 500 pounds or deadlift or back
But
squat.
I'm saying- I'm saying this guy's already practiced this 5-minute mile. It's not like one day he just set up and I'm going to do a 5-minute mile. Right?
It's not as impressive.
Wow. I want you to do a sub 7 minute, pull 400
If I have
pounds.
a 7, if I get one of my buddies from high school who was a cross country athlete, and I had said run me at a 7 pace, I could probably get close to 7 minutes.
Okay, now he doesn't have a pacer. Is that more
Well,
impressive?
you can't see her.
No, she just pulled out.
Now he's pacing.
Okay, it gives him something to run to. It doesn't change what
Oh,
he's doing.
he's pacing for him.
So that I just don't understand what the difference is from a CrossFit
Because
workout.
you're not a runner.
But okay, what about the games?
What do you mean?
Everybody's chasing somebody. So is
Yeah,
that
but-
cheating?
No, because it's different. They're not pacing. They're not going for a time.
Yeah,
They're
are.
competing
It's 4
against.
times.
They're competing against each other. So
Right.
if you're pacing off someone and you're competing against them, that's one thing. But if you're trying to, it's just not as impressive. Okay, hold on. Let's get one thing clear. 5 minute mile is hard. Okay, it's hard to run that, but it's harder without a pacer. Okay.
Yeah, it'd be harder if I blindfolded myself while I did it too.
People run much faster miles by themselves without a pacer because they learned to pace themselves, is what I'm saying.
I think it's part of I think it's part of his strategy. Like, hey man, I want somebody to run out in front of me so I keep up.
No, it's not so he can keep up. Well, yeah, I mean, so he can keep up, but like I said, he started falling behind that girl, and they were like, keep up, keep up.
No, I think
if
the
he
girl
didn't have that girl there,
Sure.
he wouldn't have got the
But
5 minute
okay,
mile.
you also can literally just time your laps, and then there's your pace, and he could chase that. I think it's just better to do it with friends, right? She couldn't keep up the pace anymore. She bailed out. They threw in another run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I'm not surprised. I mean, but she's
you're saying it's less
she's
impressive.
clearly an experienced runner because she was able to sustain a 5 minute
Well,
pace.
yeah, you could look at your watch and have a pace.
Not really.
Wow. I'm not saying you could sustain it, but you would know. So she had to have some sort of pace. She had to know something. She had to know her time after the first lap.
Yeah, because she's ran it that many times.
Sure, and I'm sure he trained to do the same thing. I'm saying if I wanted,
Not if he had a pacer. Not if he needed a pacer. If
So-
he knew what a 1:15 lap felt like.
Why do we do CrossFit?
What do you mean?
Because it's accountability of what we're doing is why we work out with other people.
Yeah.
So that's what his runners were. They were accountability to stay with the pace. And again, you want to say it's less impressive? I mean, that's fine.
yeah.
That's your opinion.
That's my
on that.
opinion. Yeah.
So I
Because
still
there's
think,
skill in running.
yeah, and he just ran under 5 minute miles. So I feel like that was pretty damn good.
No, it's good. Yeah. But it's not as.
Let's see if there's any other footage forward.
Let's see the squat.
My head hurts so bad.
Yeah, if we can. Yeah, just keep seeing if there's any footage.
My
It's gonna
butt.
be way ahead of it. He did it all in one day, correct?
Yeah.
Keep going. Okay, let's click there. Let's see. It should be I should be adding it up from there. Oh, he's heavy right there. 135. Are those 55s? No, those are 45s. Hit the play button down there.
Wonder how much this guy weighs.
It said 215.
He weighs 215.
Yeah, it said in the description he's a 215-pound athlete. And this is looks like Ben Smith's location here. He's the affiliate owner, and he's
Exact
the
Krypton,
head
yeah.
coach for Ben Smith. Not necessarily for Ben Smith, but for his gym. What are you seeing there? Is
he's warming
it
up.
less impressive because he's in the AC?
No, it's not.
It's not as impressive because we lift outside for the most part. So
I mean, it's basically the equivalent of like I don't like geared powerlifting. So if I see someone squat, if I see someone do a heavy squat in a squat suit, I'm gonna be like, okay, but I mean that's impressive, cool, but it would have been more like it's not.
I mean,
as, I don't care as much.
I
Right?
can kind of see that, but at the same time, I would think like that gear powerlifting is like almost like if you had some sort of running compression pants on and it was like making your legs move or something, because that's basically what that gear does, right? I mean, these people can't even move their arms and they go bench press. Like your arms can only go up.
Well, let's be clear. Geared power, like the highest level, or even at any level, geared powerlifters are very strong without the gear.
Yeah, sure.
Right? But it helps them lift more. Like it just.
Right. So it's something that helped him run faster. I mean, I get what you're saying. I feel like
It helped him with the skill of running.
Now he had little cotton knee sleeves. Does that not count? Is that geared?
No, that's not geared. Well, it depends. If they're like, there are knee sleeves that are not legal. There are,
sure.
or at least in raw powerlifting.
Right.
But those look like.
The Ben Smith 500 view.
Come on, one rep, down up.
Got a pretty narrow stance. It's kind of how Nick squats. And that's solid.
Yeah, he went deep.
Yeah.
That's a good squat. He's strong.
Impressive.
That's impressive.
All right, so we got 1 out of 2 that Gary's impressed with. So
No, it's 5-minute mile is good, but I'm just saying.
Haley, are
Next
you
time,
impressed so
do it
far?
without a pacer.
I'm
And let's see
very
if you can do
impressed
it.
with his physical abilities. Whether he had a pacer or not, he had the physical abilities to do it. I mean, I
Okay.
can't do that.
I want to
so.
see him do it without a pacer, and then I'll be like, fine,
Email him.
use a pacer. I don't care.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. I never looked at it
Oh,
that
this
way.
is the 50 pull-ups he did.
Yeah.
I think this is.
Yeah,
this
this is
strict.
straight into it. No, he's he's butterflying. Oh, he's
Now
not
that's
impressed.
not as impressive. 50 pull-ups.
What'd you expect a CrossFitter to do?
Huh?
What'd you expect a CrossFitter to do on his
A
pull-ups?
high-level CrossFitter?
What'd you expect him to do as a CrossFitter when it said 50 pull-ups in a row? Did you expect him to do them strict?
Sure.
A CrossFitter, though, how many times do we do strict pull-ups?
It's 50, dude. I could get close to 50.
Wow.
I'll go out there right now after this podcast and
we'll
do
get
a
it on
max
video.
ever set
We're
of
gonna get it on
pull-ups.
video.
Dude, what was that guy's Spieler? Like he did 100 like years ago.
Yeah. He couldn't come close to a 500-pound back squat. Or, well, he might have could have run a 5-minute mile, but he definitely could have not done the squat. Yeah, I can't wait to see this. He's also a 215-pound athlete, and that's what also gives him the chance to be a 500-pound back squatter.
I know. I mean, that's still what. That's over. Like that's close to 2.5% body weight. That's pretty good.
That's
not
over-
strong.
Oh, 2.5, yeah. Not strong for a
Not
back
sh-
squat?
You're not strong till you can do 2.5. But for a CrossFitter,
Man,
what?
this is a tough crowd.
What?
Not strong.
You're not
until
yeah.
you can do 2.5.
Pause it.
Wait,
You're-
not
So
the
that's
recording, but
okay?
the video, right? Yeah.
You're not strong until you can squat 2.5% of your body weight. 2.5 times your body weight.
So
250%.
You're not strong yet?
No.
Okay.
No. And you're not strong in deadlift till you can do 3.
So you're not-
CrossFitters are weak, dude.
Yeah. Compared to what?
Strong people?
Okay. The strongest people in the world?
No. No, high schoolers, dude. Strong high schoolers can do 3 times body weight deadlift. More,
Yeah, but
way
we're
more
talking
than
about
that.
specialists, right? Somebody in like powerlifting.
People who are strong, sure, yeah.
Yeah,
CrossFitters are weak compared to people who are strong.
but that's relative. I mean, they couldn't do 50 pull-ups unbroken. They couldn't run a 5-minute mile.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Right. So you're saying that's a poor back squat at 500
Yeah,
pounds.
the people who are strong aren't also great runners.
Right, yes. So you're saying somebody that only focuses on, like, say, a
Yeah,
back squat,
yeah.
that's weak. And that's the thing. He doesn't focus on just a back squat. So I wouldn't say
Still-
that's weak, though.
No, that's weak. That's weak.
But, where's your back squat at right now?
Oh, my back squat's terrible. No, my back squat's terrible.
But you're not weak, right? I mean,
two times body weight back squat is respectable.
so
Right.
you should be sitting at about 300.
Yeah, and I'm not there yet.
You're not at 300? I thought you'd hit 300.
No, I had to take time off my squat actually because I had a hip shift problem. So for at least a year, I haven't really been training back squat. So I'm
Right.
like I'm in the high 200s. Like I'm getting close, but I'm not really there yet.
What's your back squat, Haley? I know that's one of the things that you got to work on too, huh?
195.
Yeah.
I have a respectable deadlift though, and a respectable bench. I think. What 1.5? What's 1.5 times 155?
Another half of that would be 75, so 225, 230,
I
235.
bench 230.
Yeah. So it's 1.5 for bench, not 2. We're just altering it.
2
to
times,
numbers.
but actually, I don't know, man. They're good benchers. They can,
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously, there's somebody's gonna outrun a 5-minute mile too. I mean, I'm sure some of those people in the
and
Olympics
that's like,
that
dude,
run,
that's
right?
minimum, dude.
What?
Like minimum 3 times
Well,
body weight deadlift and you're strong.
Deadlift.
Yeah.
Oh, deadlift.
Just yeah.
Minimum. So I got to be pulling about 600.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
I
you're
still
strong,
really
dude.
consider, but I guess I'm always looking at it because I deal on a very affiliate level with it, which is like you get what 5% competitive people, 10% competitive people. So like most
Bunch
of
of weak
Americans, most of regular Americans can't pull anywhere close to
Because they're weak, bro.
2 times their body weight.
Because they're weak.
Oh yes, I would consider
The
that.
world's weak, man.
I would consider that for sure to be weak, and a lot of it's just no awareness and no practice and never doing it.
What's your deadlift most you've done?
The most?
Yeah.
455.
Sweet, bro.
Yeah. No,
Wait, how much you weigh?
When I was pulling 455, I was about 195. It's just 2 point something.
Yeah, you're getting there.
No, I never. I got to 455 and I stopped. I mean, I think I even pulled 455 one time for 2, but never have tested anything heavier than that. And for CrossFit though,
that's about what I'd have to do to get to 3 times body weight.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough deadlift.
Oh, I'll be there soon. I'll be strong soon, man.
Are you doing something I don't know about?
It depends on what you mean.
Yeah.
not steroids.
Okay. No, for CrossFit, I mean 500-pound back squats more than enough for a good CrossFitter.
Yeah.
Even a 450, even just years ago, 450 was a really good deadlift for a CrossFitter. Because look at when they did the ladder at the ranch.
What? 450 deadlift for a CrossFitter?
Yeah.
No.
I'm telling you. Go back to the ranch.
Mm-mm.
No, you won't go back?
No, it's not.
You know Rich Froning, when he was winning
Are you
his
talking
games,
about the highest level?
I'm talking about Rich Froning.
Rich Froning's not the highest level.
He was.
Are you talking about the highest level right now?
Yeah, I still consider that, I'm saying when Rich Froning was winning his championships, he was a 450 deadlift.
Okay, right now.
We'll look at who won the ladder there remember the ranch, the workout out at the ranch?
I don't.
Sam Dancer.
I don't.
Do you know who Sam Dancer is?
Yeah, I know Sam.
Yeah,
Dancer.
I mean he's not going to compete.
I know
for any
that
titles.
Vellner pulled 595 at the games 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So close to 600 pounds.
Sure.
And you're almost as good as Matt Frazier.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. I don't know what he pulled. I know it was over 500, but it was like 515, 525.
What?
Matt Frazier?
No, he was mid fives. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Now it's more of like if
Over
you can deadlift
500.
500.
Over.
Yeah. You want to be a 500
well
deadlifter.
over 500 to be a competitive CrossFit.
Well,
To be at the highest level.
Let's.
To be competitive, 500, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but back in the day when, like I said, Froning was winning them. I mean, 450 was a good. And this is when I was pulling 450. What I was saying was I stopped at that point.
So you're saying when Rich Froning was the best, you were as strong as the best?
I was. Well, I mean, deadlift. I don't think he put an emphasis on it. I couldn't do the Olympic
I think
lift.
he could have done way more than 450.
That was his self-registered 1 rep.
Yeah.
At the time.
That doesn't mean crap.
What do you mean?
I mean, he probably could do more than that.
Why wouldn't he put that in there?
Probably doesn't care. Was it on the games website?
It was on his register. Yeah, the register.
Yeah, I think Frazier had his at one point had his clean at one point as 315.
Probably because it might have been 315 at one point.
No.
Okay.
He was a weightlifter before he was a CrossFitter.
I know he was.
Yeah, so he was definitely doing more than 315.
Why would he have put it in?
What?
Why would he have put it in?
315 is nothing, dude.
I'm not arguing with you on that. I'm saying why would he? That might have been his 1 rep at one point.
That's what I'm saying. 450 was probably not his deadlift. He was probably doing well over 5. Well, not well over, at least 5.
I don't think most people put in a lower number than what they're capable of. If anything, they probably lie and put a higher number.
No, he was probably just like, I haven't done it in a while, 450. Like, that's probably, I mean, I don't think.
But this is years ago, and I was in the sport, and I'm going to tell you right now, not a lot of people were shooting for a 500-pound deadlift thing because it just didn't matter. It didn't come into play.
And then
CrossFit has continually just grown and exploded into, like, crazier shit every year. So I'm not saying you don't need to get stronger, but a 500-pound back squat and a sub 5.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, I don't know how this guy isn't making the games, and the only thing I can think of is that he's older, and it's his probably recovery that's not there.
You know, This isn't. I mean, in terms of elite CrossFitters, I don't actually think this is that impressive.
No, I think Matt Frazier could do all that.
Anyone could. I think and not anyone, like anyone at the games. Top 10, anyone top
Travis
10.
Williams probably not. Cole
Any
Sager,
top 10
probably
athlete
not.
could do this because I think he actually trained for this. I mean, if you're only training to run a 5-minute mile and you're only training to do a 500-pound back squat, I mean,
and when you
a
start
lot
to
more people
specialize,
can do it than you'd realize.
Well, and at the same time, if you start to specialize, you start to lose in other areas.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if somebody did try to do that, they wouldn't be as good a CrossFitter.
Yeah.
And that's probably why he's not where he's at. Or, like I said, he looks like he's a little bit older. He's in his 30s, for sure. And
a lot of high level athletes could do this if they just Matt Frazier could do it in probably 6 to 8 months of training. Probably less, way less than that.
I would say he could do it in like a couple weeks, honestly.
No.
He can already do all of it. You know he can do 50 pull-ups unbroken.
Yeah.
We know that.
I know
we know he can do 500-pound back squat.
I think the mile would be the hardest part.
But he's the best.
A 5-minute mile, dude.
Oh, and I know. But think about some of the runs that he's had in the games, like destroying people. He's been with Hinshaw for years.
That's true.
I'm saying a couple weeks of pacing it, I think he could do it. Because he's got the other two pieces already.
If he had a pacer, he could do it tomorrow.
It wouldn't be that impressive, though. It wouldn't be that impressive.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, man. This one has been I mean, now I'm learning, like, the expectations for my partner here, Gary, are very high. So
what do you mean?
I think these things are all pretty impressive.
Oh, no, I don't get it twisted. I think it's impressive. I'm just saying.
It's just not that impressive.
It's just, yeah, I could do it.
No. Disclaimer, he cannot do it.
Wow.
And we're going to go
Way
test.
to believe in your athletes, coach.
You can't yet. But one day, hopefully.
You know what? One day I'm going to do this.
And
I'm actually going to go out there and prove I can do 50 pull-ups right now.
Yeah, we're about to do that. But by then, when you do that, it's going to be like somebody's doing a 600-pound back squat, 100 pull-ups unbroken, and like a 430 mile. That'll be the new one, and you'll be like, "Damn it! I just did my 550." It won't be that impressive.
Yeah, it's not that impressive. I'm close.
That's another thing, though. Somebody that could do like a 6-minute mile and a 450 back squat and 40 unbroken pull-ups, that'd still be really impressive.
Yeah. No, wait, hold on. Say that again. 530, 450.
I was saying like a 6-minute mile, about a 450 back squat, and about 40 pull-ups in a row.
Yeah.
That'd still be really impressive.
Yeah.
Let's take out the games, people.
Yeah.
Right? I'm talking about anybody in our gym
Honestly,
do that?
Kevin could do that if he wanted to. But you know what Kevin's back squat is?
No. I don't think he's at 400.
No. What?
Yeah, his squats. He loses that midline on his squat. Like if you saw his cleans today, that was the one thing he was struggling with on 275, which easily gets it up. But he came back and did a double because he focused, but he was losing that midline a lot. So the pull-ups, I think he could do. I think the mile he could force himself to do. The back squat would take some training.
Yeah. Is that it?
I don't know. Haley, you got any questions for us today? We're gonna just throw that on the spot.
Yeah. We like throwing her on the spot. Nothing?
Wow.
Cool.
Don't even want to talk to us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the Olympian project.
This is a long episode.
It was.
Long, debatey episode.
Master debating episode. But it covered a lot of stuff, especially with the games, man. I'm definitely, to ride this one out, I am excited to see what happens in the games for sure. So we'll be keeping our ears open for that. And we've got some games announcements coming soon. You'll probably hear about in the next podcast that we might be a part of. Yeah.
That soon, huh?
We're going to be recording some special features this Friday, so I think we'll know a little bit more. So, guys,
if you're interested, subscribe.
Click the subscribe and like button. We're also on Instagram because we're so Insta-famous.
Yeah.
Insta-fit.
What?
It's a new thing. Anyway, I know things like that. Bye.
Okay, no, you can't end like that. End with some
Bye.
oomph. End with some 5-minute mile, 500-pound back squat energy.
Yo.
Ah! That's the exact noise I'm gonna make when
he's halfway bent over, dead from the barbell crushing him.
Wow. Okay, let's stop the recording.
Okay, see you later.